Hi, you guys. So I'm not looking my best, but that's okay. I was just laying here kind of thinking it might just be more genuine to just kind of like tell you guys how I'm feeling in the moment. Last fall, I posted a video about my mom and like my whole experience with my mom being diagnosed with cancer and her passing away April of last year. And I deleted it because it was just very raw and incredibly personal, and I just didn't feel good about it because sometimes I feel like talking about sensitive things like can lead people to think that you're exploiting an experience or trying to get attention, and that is like never my goal or anything. So anyway, I took it down, and I have this thing where like I feel like 95% of the time if I turn my phone camera on, I just like it's not like I change personalities, but I'm just able to like shut off my emotions and talk really logistically. Like I feel it even now. But I thought it would be worthwhile to like talk about grieving for a second because I never have aside from that video, like because it's really personal and hard to talk about. And honestly, like it's uncomfortable and I don't like talking about it or like making videos about it because I just would rather make videos about exercise and food and like vlog about my life. But this could be really helpful to other people that are grieving or haven't even grieved. It's just like good to talk about it because I just wanted to talk about my experience and kind of my frustrations in that my mom passed away April of last year, and I really don't like to talk about it because it's painful and it's hard, and I don't know why it's so difficult to talk about. Maybe because it's so personal, but I feel like after someone passes away, it's common for people to try to help them like be appreciative of what they had. And like I had 21 years with like the best mom ever. She was like my best friend and one of my favorite people. Like just like if you knew her, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that doesn't negate how hard it was to lose her and how hard it is to be without her. And it's very difficult because like people that care about you, like friends, family, partners, like want to be there for you, but they just don't know how. And as awful as it is, like you really just can't understand until you go through something similar. But I feel like in society people like try to be positive and be like, right, I have such a big wonderful life ahead of me, like my mom did such a good job raising me, like I'm gonna be okay because of who my mom was. Like she did such a good job teaching me like how to go about life and to be confident and happy in who I am. But I'm so pissed. Like, I feel like one part of grief that we don't talk about often is anger and like rage. And I'm just so angry that I lost her. And like, my mom was a redhead, she had a fiery temper, and my dad has a temper. So I am just like predisposed to be an angry bitch, and I'm gonna keep being angry for as long as I need to be. But it's just frustrating when like friends, partners, even family members don't understand why you're upset or how you can be upset for so long, or try to liken their experiences of like grief, but not the grief of losing someone, to your experience. It's just so infuriating because you're like, how can you compare something that is upsetting but far more trivial than losing a parent? Like, it's just so frustrating because you're like, I get frustrated because people are like, oh, well, correct me, like try to like tell me when I'm doing something wrong, but in the moment you just can't even think to help educate someone on how to talk about it better. You're just pissed at them. You're like, how can you not be more empathetic and understanding? It's just like, oh, I thought that was thunder. I think it was a firework. Anyway, yeah, I live very like consciously and presently in my emotions. Like I taught a fitness class from noon to 1 and it went really well. I was like so happy with how it went, and I talked to my coworker afterwards very briefly, and I was just overwhelmed with sadness because it was like, I wish she was here and I wish I could call her and tell her how good it was. And like I got this like job at the CDC. That's where I work. It's my last month starting in July there. And there was never a day where I left work and I could call her and tell her about it. And that like kills me because she was like my best friend. I called her like every day. And she was like a great listener and so supportive, like such a good mom. Like she always gave me everything I needed to hear, and that she was supportive and would never like write off the way I was feeling about things. And so I really like love that about her, and I want to emulate that. But being so young, sometimes it's hard to be as good of a person as my mom was, because she was just like the best, you know? And it's like I have such a good role model, so I'm trying to like be as similar to her as I can. But it's hard because I'm 22 and this shit sucks, and I know my mom is watching down on me, and I know that she's proud of me and laughing at me probably in my moments like this in a good way. She had a great sense of humor. And I'm surprised because I haven't really been able to talk about this like very intimately. Like I said, once I turn on the camera, I like lose all like ability to cry, and like bitch, I cry all the time. I cry every day. And oh, I need a tissue. I feel like people really don't talk about the frustration and anger as much as they do about like the sadness and like the grieving, the processing. And I just wanted to like talk about that because I like hope I'm not alone in it. But to me, like the sadness is a sign of like losing something incredibly great and valuable. So it's like it's okay to just sit in this sadness, but sometimes you know, it's, you don't want to be sad, or you want to be happy, and you want to be there for other people, and you want to live life and not move on but move forward. And that's kind of like a mindset I've been having lately, that I'm not moving on from my mom passing away, but I'm moving forward and like trying to do my best. But grief is just very isolating, because like on days where you have really hard days, it's easy to be just angry with everyone, because you're like, God, I feel so alone and no one fucking gets it. And you know who would get it? Is my mom. And it's like my mom lost her mom when she was young, so it's just like I kind of have a history of that in my family, unfortunately. But it's just Nick's playing video games. It's just rage inducing, because sometimes when you're having a bad day, or even when you're not having a bad day, hi Mac, when you're having a good day and you want to talk about the person you've lost, or you want to talk about grief, or just talk about like things really close to home, people aren't always on the same page as you, and people can't always be a good receptacle for like the emotional response you need. And it's very isolating, and I want to educate the people in my life around me on how to be better, but in those moments, it's so frustrating, and you're just like, screw you, like literally go away, like you suck, that you can't just like even like fathom how this feels, or you can't empathize more delicately, you know, that it just like, and I couldn't do that myself my whole life until losing my mom, because you just never know what it's like until you go through it. But yeah, it's just very isolating, and I want to surround myself with people that like support me and push me to be better, but also reflect like my values and my like, I guess, priorities. That's something that's like kind of been on my mind as of late with like friends, partners, family, that like I want people that like, I guess, remind me of my mom, that are positive and kind and caring and have a good sense of humor and are good listeners. And, you know, I'm not all of those things on a good day, you know, like I'm trying to be more like my mom, because she was such a good person in my eyes. And so I think, you know, I realized this a long time ago, that after losing someone, I think it's normal and healthy to want to surround yourself with people that remind you of that person. Like FaceTiming one of my friends, Ben, like, I'm gonna cry. Like FaceTiming, like my friend Ben, my friend Jenny, like people, my friend Sammy, like people that remind me of my mom and remind me of like a period of my life where I was really close to her and things were good, you know? Those moments just like really like heal my soul, not to be dramatic, but just like, yeah, surrounding yourself and staying in touch with people that like
mean a lot to you and make you feel really loved and like cared for, even at a distance. Like, these people whose names I mentioned are really important to me, but I don't talk to them that often because we live in different states, and you know, it's hard to keep in touch thousands of miles apart. But I guess a recommendation I have is just like, yeah, trying to embrace and find those connections that really make you feel like whole again. Because I guess something I've run into is when you feel like emotionally exhausted because like people in your inner circle can't be there for you in ways that you need, you have to go outside of that circle and talk to people that remind you of that person and people that make you feel good. And it doesn't mean the people in your inner circle have failed you. It just means like not everyone can be there for you in the ways that you might need. And I'm like, unfortunately, overly independent in some realms of my life. I do still stand by like my philosophy of that, like, you are absolutely allowed to ask for help, and you should, especially in times when you're like feeling so like sad and low. But something that comforts me that my mom taught me, or like she somehow instilled in me when I was young, is that like you have to be your own best friend and you have to fill your own bucket. Like, you can't rely on other people to do that for you. You can have people in your life that support you and help lift you up at like your worst or times of like lows, but like sometimes when I go for walks or when I go for bike rides or runs, like I think of my mom and I just feel really like good about myself, and I feel proud that I'm like, wow, like I really am gonna be okay because my mom taught me like how to be a good person and how to like process my emotions and how to deal with like shitty situations as best you can. And she taught me how to forgive myself when I might make the wrong decisions or not be the best version of myself, and I'm just really appreciative of that. I'm just like an advocate of reaching out to people that make you feel whole and good and happy and remind you of that person if you're missing them. And at the same time, I'm an advocate for like, I guess, doing some introspection and thinking about like what kind of person you want to be at the end of the day and how you can better yourself like outside of all your relationships, like just to be the best you can be like on your own, like what that means to you. I don't know if that makes any sense. Kind of rambling now, but like wanted to talk about this in videos to like help people, but anytime I tried, it came off like logistical and cold and like just very like not at all how I felt. Like, this is how I feel, you guys. Like, not all the time, but like I cry all the time when I'm driving in the car and listening to songs that remind me of my mom. When I talk about her to other people, like, and I look them in the eye, then my emotions really come up. But when I'm talking to like a camera, it doesn't feel as real, and I don't want it to come off like sometimes it may seem like it takes away from the genuinity of the subject at hand, and I don't want anyone to misunderstand. Like, this is incredibly like sensitive, hard stuff to talk about. So just keep that in mind if you're grieving. Like, take it easy on yourself, and if you have someone in your life that is grieving. And it just like, my mom passed away a year and a couple months ago, and it's like, and I'm gonna grieve my whole life. And I don't like to think of it that way because it sounds like a weight or an umbrella, but it's like, I'm never going to not grieve her loss because she was such an incredible person. Like, it makes me smile thinking about it because I'm like, my mom was the best. Like, she was so cool, and I'm like so happy that like I came from her. Like, that, honestly, you guys, like, again, I could cry. It like lifts me up that I'm like, wow, I came from Betty, you know. And yeah, I'm just like, damn, like I came from that amazing woman. Like, that's so powerful. And it's like, that helps me like open my eyes and realize like I'm gonna be okay. And even if things are hard while I'm young, they're gonna keep being hard, but I will persevere because of all the skills and tools like she gave me to like be okay and find happiness and strength. So anyway, I'm just going to end this off here because it's very long, and I hope you guys were able to like hear me and maybe get something out of this. If you are also grieving, that's like something I would like to do more of, is share upon my experience, because I know that there are other people out there that have similar experiences, and I could talk about it more in the future, but I guess I'm just not ready to talk about it in detail. I thought I was when I posted that video last fall, but I was not. So yeah, I will see you guys in my next video, whenever that is. Funny, because the next video I was gonna post, and I probably will post, is called like 50 things I don't buy or own. Like, so random, like just completely unrelated to all of this, but that could be fun distraction because I'm making a long list, so it's gonna be good. See you guys there. All right. Adios.